everybody, and welcome to the UK's only TV programme that's dedicated to your mental health and well-being, the Chrissy B Show. And I'm your host, Chrissy B. Today we're helping to raise awareness for a very important cause. This year, Anti-Bullying Week turns into a month as between the 31st of October and the 30th of November, celebrities, charities and people from all walks of life come together to make a stand against bullying in all of its forms. Now, bullying is a major social issue that's not just going to go away. Unfortunately, reports of bullying continue to make the headlines in the UK, with events over the past year such as Brexit and the migrant crisis proving that it's not just children or young people who resort to bullying. Often when we think of bullies, we imagine the tough child in the playground, but bullies can come in many forms, whether that's online, on social media, in the workplace, or even at home. That's why it's important that events such as Anti-Bullying Week keep raising awareness for the many different forms of bullying and help those who are suffering wherever and whoever you are. According to the annual bullying survey conducted by Ditch the Label, exactly half of young people have bullied another person, 30% of which do it once a week. Overall, 43% of young people have been bullied. What's this down to? Well, 26% said their weight was a target, 21% their body shape, 18% clothing, 14% facial features, 9% for wearing glasses and 8% hair colour. As a result of being bullied, 29% self-harmed, 27% skipped class, 14% developed an eating disorder and 12% ran away from home. So now let's take a look and see what you have to say about the subject. Nick says, it's a fact, bullying occurs within millions of schools worldwide. I'm encouraging you to end it. Anti-Bullying Pro states in every day there are 1,440 minutes. That means we have 1,440 daily opportunities to make a positive impact. Great quote there. Paris Lee says 48% of young trans people in the UK have attempted suicide due to prejudice-based stigma. Whilst Grammy reports that the boss of pub chain JD Wetherspoons threatens to drop European drinks if Brussels keeps bullying the UK over Brexit. Whilst Amma reminds us of the devastating impact bullying can have, saying a 16-year-old bullying victim committed suicide last week in the UK. Someone I'd met personally. I want to pray for her family as well. So as you can see, bullying affects many of us out there. But now it's time to get some anti-bullying news from our very own Pax Brown.
Thank you, Chrissy. Now this year, Anti-Bullying Week is seeing lots and lots of wonderful initiatives. We've got this new drama project developed by the Anti-Bullying Works charity and Chichester Festival Theatre, in which a piece of verbatim theatre will be visiting 14 schools in Sussex from the 14th to the 25th of November, and its name is Power for Good. Another exciting project, this time from Wales, the South Wales Evening Post reports that in Port Talbot a film has been made for Anti-Bullying Week specifically. Now the producers say that this film could play a vital role in transforming the way bullying is dealt with. A mix of drama and mockumentary, My Life as a Bully is a 45-minute long feature. It will be released in time for National Anti-Bullying Week and aims to help both adults and young people recognize, prevent and take action against bullying. And now on to some celebrity news. Marie Claire reminds us that celebrities are not exempt from bullying either. In fact, recently we've heard about Emma Watson being bullied by a journalist on The Sun. Emma Watson recently visited New York to give a speech about equal rights as part of her ongoing He for She campaign. She called for universities to provide true equality for women and minorities, and to make it clear that their safety is a right and not a privilege. Rod Liddell is a reporter who ridiculed Emma Watson, calling her Hermione Granger even before acknowledging her real name, and then going on to say she should stick to telling people the rules of Quidditch or how to turn someone into a frog. Now luckily, Liddell received a lot of criticism for his article, proving that bullies, even if published in mainstream media, really don't make any sense at all. However, sometimes it's the celebrities themselves that are the bullies. In fact, in May, an autistic man was bullied by celebrity rapper 50 Cent. The man said he is considering taking legal action against the musician. The incident happened at an airport where the autistic man was working. In fact, workplace bullying is a rising worldwide phenomenon. We've got a couple of interesting stories from thebalance.com. Angela Anderson tells about her awful experience at work. Basically, her boss never really liked her, and in fact she bullied her extensively, yelling in front of her co-workers and threatening her in private. She wrote a letter for Human Resources and kindly notified her boss that she was going to write this complaints letter. However, her boss actually fired her before she could even hand this letter in. How frustrating. We've got a more uplifting story from Bunny Russell, who triumphed over a workplace bully after her supervisor put his hands on her and shoved her out of his office. Now, she called the police straight away, and the CEO got to the scene very quickly and asked her, "What the hell do you think you're doing to my company?" To which she answered in a similar tone, "This is not about your company." After a quick think, the CEO then told her, "What do you want me to do for you to cancel that call to the police?" She said, "You must fire that bully," and he did that straight away. What a win for Miss Bunny Russell. An interesting fact for you guys, I don't know what you will make of this, but Globe News Wire has recently reported that a survey found that 80% of mums have been mum-shamed. In other words, bullied by other mothers. 53% of the surveyed mothers said that this happens frequently or regularly. The leading reasons for mum-shaming were feeding choices, so breastfeeding, bottles or solids, and parenting style. Now let's end this week's news with a little fun fact for you guys. I found out about this Chrissy is the name of this brown and white panda, in fact the only brown and white panda in the world. Now, Chrissy had a lot of trouble growing up when he was abandoned by his mother and subsequently was bullied by other pandas. They were stealing his food and just isolating him in general. The used to be bullied panda is now a celebrity, because it's been covered all over the internet, and the researchers are hoping to find why his appearance is different to other pandas, and then they'd be able to point out what caused this unique appearance. Back to you, Chrissy. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you very much to Pax there. So now let's take a look at this video.
So I had a group of friends at high school, and it was about second year of school, and they got into a new group of friends, as people do, they move on.
Yeah.
And I didn't really fit in, I didn't really get along with their group of friends, and it was kind of instantly, they just changed, they turned their backs on me. I wasn't kind of the lad that everybody would call the typical. I wasn't into football, I wasn't into sports, that wasn't my type of thing.
Yeah.
At one point I did go to drama school, and that was what I wanted to do. I went there for a year, and the people that I would hang around with didn't like that, and they just kind of didn't accept me into their group because I wouldn't play football, I wouldn't get up to what they wanted to do. So like I say, they just turned on me straight away, and it led into school. They would kind of humiliate me in class. They would say stuff that would kind of upset me, and it got to a point where I didn't want to go to school. Went home, I told my parents, and I just didn't want to go to school at all. I wouldn't go into class. So
you were quite open with your parents straight away, were you? You felt that you could talk about it? Yeah.
Well, I lived at home with my two sisters and my mum, and I was quite open with them and told them what was happening, because obviously they knew the people that I was hanging around with, the friends that I was in with. So I told them and I let them know, and they approached the school for me, because I didn't want to approach the school. I would think that everything would get worse, and I didn't want to tell anyone but people at home. And so they went to the school and they told them, and the school kind of resolved it in a way. They changed me groups, they changed me classes, so I was isolated from them, and they were isolated from me. We weren't together, and it resolved the problem, and it got on and went along in school. And obviously I got new friends, new group of friends as you go on, and it got better. But of course I had other groups of friends outside of school who were severely bullied in person, online, and there was nothing in place for them, and they were looking for support. There was nothing there, and some of the things that they received, like messages, text messages and social media sites. How did it affect them? What were they going through? It was just the confidence, I would say. Obviously I can't speak from their point of view, but it was confidence. You could tell, they would go quiet, they wouldn't really speak much to people. They didn't really open up to people about the issues that was going on, because a lot of teens nowadays, if they open up, they'll think it gets worse, or the bullying, that nothing will be done about it, or the bullying will carry on.
Okay.
Yeah, well, like I say, obviously I wasn't severely bullied. It was kind of minor bullying, but bullying is bullying. There still needs to be help out there, whether it's minor, whether it's major. So when my friends got bullied, there was nothing in place in our local area, and nothing at all.
Okay.
Nothing by the local authority, nothing by other organisations or agencies. So I took it upon myself to set up an organisation in our local area that could support young people, their families. It's called South Tyneside Against Bullying. Okay. We were a UK non-profit organisation, and we help people that are being bullied or that have been bullied in our local area. We have started to branch out to those that are being abused as well. We'll help them, and we'll give them advice and support that we need. We'll point them in the right directions to where they can go for further help if we cannot help them. But we will try to support them to the best of our abilities.
That's brilliant. That's excellent. Well, do stay tuned because we have more for you after this break. Welcome back, everybody, to our fabulous show all on anti-bullying. So we asked our resident psychologist, Dr. Audrey Tang, how damaging bullying can be on our mental health later in life. And here's what she had to say.
Hi Chrissy, thank you very much for having me. Bullying is one of those topics where sadly I think it happens to most people, and it can have very detrimental effects later on in life. One of the biggest things is we may just learn that that is one way to communicate, and it is possible to then learn to bully others because we were bullied ourselves. The other thing is it can actually damage our self-esteem and self-worth so greatly that we actually seek out other relationships which are just as detrimental to us because we're used to feeling that position of submission. The other problem is it might make us a bit more sensitive to any comment. For example, if we were bullied because of our looks, anytime anyone says anything that may be related to something we were a little bit sensitive about, we may see that as a slight, and it may not be meant as such, but because we're over conditioned to think about it, we may come across as hypersensitive to that particular subject. I think what we need to remember is when people have been hurt, those wounds are easier to open again than somebody who hasn't been hurt. The best way to demonstrate this is something that we use in schools to look at bullying. I've got a piece of paper here, and in terms of this piece of paper, if you think about bullying being hurting this piece of paper in this way, even though you can then smooth it all out and say you're sorry to it, you can still see the scars do remain. It's certainly not always the case that if you were a bully once that you will continue to bully the rest of your life, because now a lot of the time there are many interventions that support the bully as well as the person being bullied. Now it may be if you're bullying because you don't know any other way of expressing yourself, unless you do get that support to express yourself differently, then those behaviours can continue. Sometimes we may also use strategies to avoid being bullied ourselves, and that can be becoming passive aggressive or becoming negligent or just turning a blind eye, and that in itself can cause pain for others. So we've got to be a little bit aware of our behaviours. As we get older, self-awareness is something that we all develop a lot more, but it's certainly very unfair to say that anyone who bullied as a child is suddenly going to grow up to still bully. A lot of people do mature. Bullying may not have even been something that they had thought they were doing. The other thing to remember is that, of course, we can become bullies too, because sometimes it depends on the situation that we might be put in. Again, if we find no other means of expression, it is very easy to become a bully. And a little bit of a word of warning for parents here. There is a new area of research into sports bullying, and in particular this focuses on parents who are very competitive and who expect and demand a lot of their children. Those behaviours, even though you may feel they're constructive criticism, be aware of them because you could be inadvertently bullying as well. We are progressing greatly as a society, and when we know bullying is going on, there's a lot of different ways that we can intervene. There's a lot of youth counselling programs, teachers and educators are all trained now to deal with bullying, parents are trained to deal with it as well. And one of the most important things, of course, is educating the child or people in general to look for the signs of bullying. However, there are two types of bullying that still goes on. It's unseen, and because of the nature of that type of bullying, it's not so easy to pinpoint and not so easy to realise that we are being bullied. I'm talking, of course, of cyberbullying and emotional bullying. Cyberbullying first. It used to be, if I was going to be bullied, I'd be bullied in the school playground. When I got home, that would be my safe space. But because we all have mobile phones now, we're all on computers, children are using tablets to do their homework, and everyone's on various social media platforms, or of course using texts on their mobile phones, what can happen is that bullying, if it's going on, can go right into the most intimate space in that child's life. It can go into their bedroom. And that's a very frightening thought. And because it can often be text bullying or the written word, it's very easy for somebody to say, oh, I didn't mean it like that. That wasn't bullying, you're just being sensitive, or oversensitive rather, not just sensitive. This leads me on to emotional abuse and emotional bullying. And here I'm speaking of something called gaslighting. Now, this is just come back into recent discussion, and it's quite sad that it has. It comes from a play written in the 30s about an abusive husband. The way he used to treat his wife made her think she was losing her mind. So he would move keys, and then he'd say to her, well, where did you put the keys? And of course they wouldn't be where she put them last. So she began to question whether she was actually correct. And there can be a lot of that sort of bullying going on. Sometimes it may not be deliberate. It may not be anything to do with control or wanting to yield your power over somebody. It can just be genuinely you forgot you moved your keys, but you're absolutely adamant that you didn't do it. But we've got to be very self-aware with our own behaviours, because the more we are sure of ourselves, the more somebody else might question their own beliefs too. What's really important is if anyone comes forward about bullying is to remember that if somebody perceives something as bullying, certainly in the workplace, for example, it is something to be taken seriously. It can get to a point where people only speak when they're so desperate to talk about something. So by that point, just telling someone, oh, it'll be okay, may not be the best thing. It does have to be at least looked into. The other danger, of course, and this is more of a warning for parents, sometimes the child just wants you to listen to them. They don't want you running in and demanding to see the headmaster or headmistress. It's quite important that they feel able to speak to you and that you know that you will listen in a non-judgmental way. So again, listening is one of the key things. Maybe even asking that child, what would you like done about it? If it's not really bothering them that much, then sometimes showing that, demonstrating it doesn't, can be very successful. The other alternative is to use a little bit of positive psychology and get them focused on something else. It's starting a new hobby, taking up self-defense even. Channeling their skills in a different way will introduce that person or that child to a new group of friends and probably give them the support to take them away from their isolation and hopefully take them out of the situation where the bullying was happening.
Thank you very much to Dr. Audrey Tang. So now it's time to look back at another interview.
We work with young people who are aged 13 to 25. And we also work with schools and colleges, parents and guardians, and we also do a lot of research. All of our work is actually evidence-based, and that helps us lead our campaigns and interventions.
Some of your research at the beginning of the show, didn't we?
Yeah, because you know the results can be, sometimes they can surprise us.
Shocking,
and that helps you lead where you should be putting the interventions and where you should be campaigning. And also we do work a lot with parents and guardians as well, because there's a significant gap in knowledge, especially on the digital platforms. They've often got no idea of how they work, even what cyberbullying is to some extent. So, but also a lot of what we do is on a digital platform, because there isn't really anybody else doing that at the moment. It's a huge sort of like a phenomenon almost, and young people are there, and we need to be there to make sure that they're safe.
It's just so difficult to combat, isn't it, though? Like, just things.
It is difficult, but I think if you're educating and making people aware, because the internet can be fantastic. It's a wonderful thing. It's full of knowledge, but like real life, there's also bad parts of it as well. So it's all about trying to build, young people's confidence and knowledge of how to deal with things and what to do and what may be bullying, what may not be bullying as well. I think it's easy to go for the things like look out for mood swings and more sleep and lack of interest in studies, but it's more about keeping an open and honest dialogue with young people all the time, not just if you suspect they're being bullied.
Which is what Callum had obviously at home.
So that they're always able to chat to you. It doesn't have to be a big talk on let's talk about bullying. Always talk about it, find out what's going on, who their friends are, how they're getting on at school. And also to sort of like, if you do suspect something's going on, listen. Put your own feelings aside, because if they do say to you, well, actually, yes, I am being bullied, a lot of parents, quite rightly, you feel quite angry, but you kind of need to put that aside and concentrate and prioritise the young person and find out what they want. Reassure them that it's not their fault. And if they are being bullied, it's actually nothing to do with a unique factor about them. They might say, it's because of my colour, my disability, my sexual or gender identity. It's actually none of those things. It's other people's attitudes towards those. So reassuring them that it's actually not their fault is hugely important.
Yeah. And what about kids themselves, would you say? What kind of advice would you give?
Well,
people that are going through it at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we do offer a lot of help guides on our website, and one of them is top tips to overcoming bullying. And it's all about sort of like, if you are worried about anything, speak to somebody that you trust. Because a lot of people don't speak up, and it might be quite actually overwhelming for somebody to go straight to a teacher first of all. They might want to talk to a trusted friend, it could be a relative, and sort of discuss this, because bullying is very subjective. I think, as you were saying earlier, what somebody considers to be banter, somebody else is extremely distressed by. So that can kind of put it into a perspective, and if you feel ready, then move on, to sort of reporting it. A lot of young people actually do report bullying, but it's what happens beyond that, because there isn't sort of like, it's not the same in every school. It's not sort of every school. They do have anti-bullying policies, they're required to, but it's what happens once you've reported it. And generally, they're reluctant to speak up because there is, a fear about it. There's also a lack of faith in it will be taken seriously. And I think it's quite surprising as well, a lot of young people don't actually want necessarily sanctions for people that are bullying them. They just want it to stop. They just want people to be aware of the impact and to be educated.
Well, do stay tuned, because we have more for you after this break. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show, and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, the TV program that helps you with your mental health and well-being. Now, as you know, today we are raising awareness for Anti-Bullying Week, and we sent Pax Brown out to see what you guys have to think about bullies.
Thank you, Chrissy. Nobody likes a bully. We're gonna ask you guys what you think about bullies for Anti-Bullying Week. Have you ever been bullied at school, uni, or at work?
No, I haven't.
No, never.
No, never before.
No.
I was bullied when I was 11 years old.
I have, yes. I was bullied at school many years ago, and it wasn't a very nice experience, to be honest.
No, I've never been bullied, but I know it is horrible.
Do you think that bullying is normal? Do you think bullying is in human nature?
Unfortunately, yes.
I think they are very insecure people. That's why they are bullying to make themselves important.
No, I think it's something we do because we're jealous.
Sometimes some people do it, but I think it's not a good character. It's not good to bully people.
Unfortunately, yes.
Bullying all depends on the person, the bullier, their background, and I suppose what issues they have against other individuals. I think it's all about their own insecurities and how they deal with them, but they preach that against other people.
I do. I think that people do it sometimes because they want to make themselves feel better, and they only do that by making others feel worse about themselves.
How would you stand up to a bully?
My nature is I'm docile. I'll just walk away.
Depends on the occasion, I guess.
I think I wouldn't have used violence, but I would answer back and said that it's not okay.
I have reported them. I have reported the bullies, but I've also faced them and I've asked them why. Why have you bullied me? What's the purpose of bullying? How did it make you feel as a person? Because all it's done is brought nothing but sadness to mine. But it made me a lot stronger as an individual now that I'm older, and that I can then pass off my experiences to the children that I teach at school. So it's not a nice thing, bullying. A lot of more awareness needs to be made about it.
I would take it on the chin first of all, and then if they say something to me, I'll say back, I'll snap back, and then if it continues, then I'll go and tell someone. That's the only way, is, you know, sometimes.
I definitely tell someone, like a teacher or a parent or even a friend, so you could get some help.
And actually, as a teacher, like, how do you deal with that when you see that in the classroom?
Children have consequences. They're taught that, how can I put this, that it's not kind what they're doing, and how would they feel if it was the person they are bullying doing it to them. And we basically have a lot of lessons around what to do, what not to do, and how to, I suppose, spot that you're being bullied, because you don't always know that you're being bullied. So,
what message would you send to all the people who are bullied?
Okay, hold on, talk with your closer friends, talk with your parents.
It will get better.
No fear, be strong, go against.
you need to seek help, find an adult or anyone that you can trust and let them know that you are being bullied, and that you're not on your own. There is other people out there that can help you.
You just got to stand up for someone, or stand up to them, or tell someone. That's the most important thing, is tell someone.
Yeah, the most important thing is definitely tell someone, and you have to stay strong and try and block them out.
If you could just say to the camera a message to all the bullies out there.
It's not nice. What you're doing can lead to suicide. It makes a person feel very insecure, their self-confidence, you break it down. You don't need to bully people. You just need to figure out what's going wrong in your life and get help about the issues and the insecurities that you have, and then the world will be a better place, hopefully.
Stop what you're doing and be nice.
I think you are just proving your bad upbringing and your lack of faith in humanity.
Stop bullying. It's not good. It's not fun.
Don't bully other people's, because imagine sometimes you also can be bullied, and it's not good. It's not a good situation.
Only I can say bullying is not good for the present, for the future.
Why do you think it's fun to make someone feel worse, feel bad about themselves? You're making their life miserable. Well, I don't understand the fun of that.
Why do you feel the need to bully? Because if you put yourself in their shoes, I don't think that you would enjoy it either. And you're just making people feel really bad about themselves, and it's not necessary.
Thank you very much to Pax. Now let's take a look at this amazing, inspirational bullying story. And now joining us in the studio is Aaron Howe, who's going to tell us about his story. And also later on, we're going to be speaking to Glenn Mason, one of our resident psychologists, join us via Skype, to tell us the thinking behind people that bully others, and also how people that are being bullied can cope. So Aaron, thank you so much for coming to today's show.
How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
You're good now?
Yeah.
But you weren't some time ago, were you? Because you were the victim of bullying, unfortunately.
Yes, I was.
Can you tell us when it all started for you?
So it all started back in primary school.
Oh, really?
At the age of 10 years old. Mm-hmm. It started one day on the public coach that we hired, going to swimming lessons. Mm-hmm. So one day, coming back from the swimming place, I was just there minding my own business, and a group of boys that I thought was my friends, they totally started saying bad things about me, saying things about personally about my weight, because in primary school I was mainly a bit chubby. So I was conscious about that. And when they was talking about that, saying, oh, Aaron's so fat, that this and that, Aaron's fat, and there was constantly this going on all the way back to the primary school. And in that moment, it made me cry. I was very angry, frustrated, and thinking, these people I thought was my friends, but they're taking advantage of something that I knew that I do not like about myself already. So when
you felt betrayed, really, didn't you?
I felt really betrayed.
People are supposed to back you up.
Because it's like these people that they invite me to their birthday parties, they invite me to go out with them. But in that particular moment, it's like all that just flashed down the toilet, because it's like you're saying things that I thought they would never say about me.
And was this something that continued with them after that?
With that situation, it stopped because the teacher dealt with it in that very moment. The teacher solved the problem. But for me, it's like I gained this anger out of it, because like in that moment I wanted to retaliate, but I couldn't, because it's like 5+ people and one of me. So if I go and confront one of them, it would just start over again. But during that period in primary school, people would always come up about my weight. Like, oh, Aaron, you're so fat. Or when we play football, I would tackle someone, hurt them. They say, Aaron, because you're so fat, you're hurting me. And it really, really made me feel like I can't do things because of my body weight. So it will put me like, I have no place in doing things in primary school.
Okay, and did that continue then when you went to secondary school and older? In
secondary school, things changed. I said to myself, I cannot be a victim of bullying. I cannot be someone that people can be easy with. I have to be different. So because of my anger, I started using that as an advantage. So I used to bully other people. So the friends I formed in secondary school, we used to bully other people. And because people knew about my group in secondary school, they knew certainly about my anger, so people were scared of me. Then one day I was on a bus, or public transport, where a girl was just trying to joke with me, but I didn't see it as a joke. And in that very moment, I lost my temper, and she got so scared. Like she was like saying sorry, like pleading and begging, but I didn't stop. After a few weeks later, what I did to her, she confessed and said to me, "Oh, Aaron, I'm scared of you." And that's when did
that kind of make you feel bad, or did it make you feel like, look, I'm in control here?
It felt like I was in control. Okay. It's like I didn't show no mercy, because it's like the pain that I suffered from previously, it's like I want to cause on others. So all that bullying that I received in primary school about my weight,
which was still there in the back.
Still there in the back of my mind. And because like all the weight I had in primary school, I lost a bit of it. So like, no one used to gain about I was fat. They just used to say, look, they used to pick on just things about me, like how I used to approach with myself and all this, but
there was one particular gentleman that made your life a misery for a while, wasn't there?
Yes.
So even though you kind of became angry and even you ended up bullying other people, but there was one particular person that you couldn't back chat, you couldn't do anything, could you? Shall we meet him?
Yes.
Let's bring him up on screen. Hi, Tiago. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
So I hear that you made Aaron's life a misery for a while.
Yes, for a while
What happened? Why did you pick on him?
There was a mixture of things. I wasn't even from the area where Aaron was from, but he lived in the neighborhood where my cousins lived. So every time I'd go to see my cousins, I'd see Aaron. And because of the kind of person I was at the time, I was very aggressive. I wanted things my way. And then I saw Aaron and I thought, who's this cheeky boy? Because I remember one time I asked him to go shop for me. And then he said no. And
obviously, like, why should he, by the way?
He didn't have to, but the way I was living, I thought people have to do what I say when I want. I was always used to getting it my way. So I said, oh, go shop for me. And then he said no. And it's like, I was like, he can't be serious. He can't be saying no. So then I was like, no, I'm telling you to go shop. And then he tried to get cheeky, like, no, I'm not going to the shop. You have to go for yourself. And then when I saw that, I said, no way, I have to show this guy that I am his boss.
So what did you do?
So then I just started forcing him to go. I started beating him up. I'll start calling him names. Just everything, really. I had to have it my way. I remember bully him and then record it and then make him say sorry for things he didn't even do. I make him used to beg.
Wow. So you were basically humiliating him then, really?
Yeah, because at the time I thought he humiliated me because all my friends were there and people that I knew were there, and I was like, go shop. And then he said no, so I was like, I cannot let them see that this little boy is telling me no.
So Aaron, how did you feel about him at the time?
At the time, when I first, as you said, like, tell me to go to the shop, I was thinking, who's this guy to tell me? Like, I don't know you. But did
you hate him, all the things that he was doing
I definitely
to you?
hated him.
It was over a 3-month period you were telling me earlier.
Yeah, 3-month period. So after
torment.
Total torment. And it's that moment where it's like, you used to do it to others, but now it's happening to you. And it's like, I couldn't do nothing because how he was more stronger than me, more taller, more powerful than me. So like everything he used to do to me, I couldn't retaliate, even though I had anger and all this. But it's like in that moment when I would see him, there would be instant fear to him.
Tiago, just a question. Did you ever feel bad about what you were doing to him?
Not at all. Not at all. At the time, I really did. At the start, I kind of did, but then when I felt that humiliation, I was like, no, now I have to show him that, you know, he cannot talk to me like that. He cannot say no to me like that. And then it just became fun to me. Aaron became like a game to me. It was just fun, to be honest.
Now, I know we've got two of you, like, obviously speaking now, because there was quite an interesting twist to this story, wasn't there, Tiago?
Yes,
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so like I was saying, I was involved in like criminal activities and in gangs, and I was a very violent person, aggressive person, hence why I behaved that way towards Aaron. And it wasn't just to Aaron, this is how I used to be to many others. But then I was invited to a youth group, and I realized that the reason I was like this towards Aaron is because when I was young, I suffered a lot of abuse and violence at home from my father. And even when I first came to the UK, I was kind of bullied myself because I didn't speak the language and I didn't have friends, so people pick on me. So that was one of the reasons I joined gangs. And though I learned that I was doing this to Aaron as a way to release this anger, this grudges that I had inside. And I was invited to the youth group, and I learned something that till this day I take with me. That is, I should use that anger, but to do something positive in order to change the situation or the problem that I was going through. So I was invited to a youth group called the Victory Youth Group, where there was people there who I saw their lives were changing, youths who were doing positive things, and they were genuinely happy. And
is that when you started to feel bad about what you'd been doing to him?
Yes, that's when I really started to feel bad, because it really sank in, like, how can I make someone's life hell like that? Just because I suffered it doesn't mean I have to make other people suffer. So I started participating in a youth group, and I saw that my character, my behavior started changing. And then I immediately wanted to, you know, make amends with Aaron and so forth. So I even ended up inviting him to the youth group and becoming friends with him now.
So this, I mean, you don't hear this often. I mean, it's just an amazing story. So Aaron, when he started being nice to you and then invited you to this youth group, how did you feel?
I was shocked, like totally shocked. I'm thinking in my head, this person used to make my life hell, and now he's inviting me to this youth group. So it's like, what this got to offer? But I saw a change in him, because the way he was nice, the way he was being respectful, it was total shock. So it's like, let me go to this youth group, because if I see a change in him, then with my life, how my problems are.
Did you trust him though? Because what if didn't you kind of think in your head, oh, what if this is a trick? He's just going to take me somewhere and beat me up.
That didn't come to my head at all. Yeah. Because it's like, because his cousin's gone as well in that very moment. So it's like, if his cousin's gone, I'll go as well. But as he said, I went to the same youth group, and I saw people with so much joy and so much happiness. And this is something that I never experienced in my life. And I saw that this was in Tiago's life.
Yeah.
So when I started coming more frequently, he became like from a tormentor to a mentor to me. Someone that was really like motivating me, to help me, to push me. He was like, instead of being my bully, he was like a brother to me. Someone that was always on my case, like, Aaron, you can do it. This situation that you're going through, you can overcome it. It's like someone that used to say, look, you're this, you're that. It's like now, like, you can achieve something that you want to achieve.
That's just amazing. I mean, Tiago, how did that make you feel now, being able to, instead of, like he said, you know, tormenting him, now mentoring him? How did that make you feel?
It brought me joy, because it reminded me of when I came to the youth group. Because when I came to the youth group, I was very down, I was very destroyed. But there was someone that helped me, someone who really looked after me, who took me in as a brother.
Yeah.
So then when I saw that, I was really appreciative of their help. So when I saw that I was able to help Erin, it brought great joy to me. Great joy.
I mean, the great thing is that both of you are now involved in this charity yourselves. You're working for the charity, you're helping other people, and you've remained good friends, have you?
Yes, we keep in contact.
Oh, that's really
good.
That's such a lovely story, and I just wish, you know, more people would, you know, would do something like that and actually realise what's going on and change, and then actually help the people that they used to make their life hell, really. That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Tiago, for joining us.
My pleasure.
And you're actually in Cardiff, aren't you?
Yes,
joining us by Skype. Okay,
Cardiff,
so you're helping the youth group there.
Yes.
Great. All right. And Erin, thank you so much as well.
You're welcome.
Well, after the break, I'll be breaking down some common myths associated with bullying. Welcome back to the show, everyone, where, as you know, today is all about supporting Anti-Bullying Week. Now, I'm very excited to share with you a new challenge from Reese Coker from Combat Academy, who, as you know, have been firm collaborators with the show in the past. Their Ultimate Combat Academy Challenge will put celebrities through a survival test, all in the name of anti-bullying for children and young adults. Let's take a look at this video.
Mission. Celebrities will take on some of the most highly trained, unarmed combat and military special forces personnel in a series of self-defence and unarmed combat challenges. Location. A secret location in Buckinghamshire at Combat HQ. Major Hugh Roberts, British military.
In order to survive, you need to keep fighting and never ever give up.
Lawrence Hamilton, Royal Air Force. Magdi Roshdi, Egyptian military. Jason Hare, British Army. Reese Coker, British Army and Elite Royal Navy Submarine Service.
Coming soon, only the toughest celebrities will take on and complete the Combat Challenge, all in the name of anti-bullying and confidence building for children and young adults. Celebrities who have confidence, toughness and the will to win are now standing up against the bully because they can. Why is it so important to get behind this cause? Well, the problem of bullying wrecks lives. It destroys confidence, it destroys self-esteem. But it's not just the victims that need your help. The bullies often have a story to tell too, as they come from backgrounds where violence is used to solve problems. The problem of bullying needs your help. Bullying is a serious social problem that's growing fast. It has a tremendously negative impact on many lives. And it can happen anywhere, at school, at home, outside of school, among friends and online. The problem of bullying takes many forms: verbal, physical, emotional, gang-related, and of course the recent phenomenon of cyberbullying. Online bullying has created a 24/7 problem which makes victims feel isolated and alone. The Combat Challenge will tackle this issue head-on and make online bullying socially unacceptable. Anyone that's been a victim of online bullying will have a network of friends so powerful that they will no longer feel isolated and alone.
Thought it was useful to boost confidence for both myself and my son. Personal safety being something you can't really gamble on, and with Combat Academy it stacks the odds in your favour if you're actually out on your own.
I feel that if I'm approached by someone who feels to threaten me, I'm generally fairly safe with a lot of training.
It's good to know that he's got a lot of key skills to look after himself. Knowing that he's picked up some of the skills that Combat Academy has taught him, it puts me in a confident position as his parent, knowing that he'll be safe. He'll know how to stay safe and keep himself out of harm's way.
Good boy! Pull it! Boy!
Nice stuff,
mate. Everybody!
Beast mode.
Okay!
Are you tough enough for the Combat Challenge? Do you have what it takes?
Safe zone! Safe zone!
We are looking for celebrities who are passionate about charity work, in particular helping young people who have been affected by bullying. If you are a celebrity and you want to get involved, then use the details provided. and get in contact as soon as possible. We can't wait to hear from you.
So a great initiative by the Combat Academy and a very exciting one too. So now I thought I'd go through some common myths associated with bullying as listed by the charity Bullying UK and break them down for you to help us understand what really constitutes bullying. So let's take a look at the first myth, which is bullying is a normal part of childhood and you should just ignore it. So the fact is, bullying is not normal or acceptable in any form, and ignoring it might not always make it stop. But what they're suggesting is that you confide in someone you trust, such as a parent or teacher, to help you actually get through it and actually help you to get it stopped as well. Because as you know, bullying can severely knock a person's self-esteem and confidence. Let's take a look at the second myth. It is okay to hit someone who is bullying you. It will stop it. Right, guys, so this one is a bit of a controversial one. Actually, it is quite understandable that you may be angry if you're being bullied, but it could stop the issue. But if you were to get violent or aggressive, it might actually make matters worse and you'll probably get into trouble too. So make sure you do, maybe don't take that as an option and speak to someone instead. Let's take a look at the next myth, which is bullies are born this way, it's in their genes. What do you think about this one? The fact is that bullies often adopt this behavior from their environment, or sometimes it's a reaction from them being bullied by others. But whatever the case may be, whatever the reason they're bullying, it is not right. Let's take a look at myth number 4. Bullying only happens in schools. So, you know, as we said at the beginning of the program, this is just not the case, because bullying can happen to anyone at any time, at any place. So it could be at school or university or college, but it can also happen when you're out with friends or to and from school. It can happen at work. It can happen in relationships too. The next myth: you can spot a bully from the way they look and act. Well, the fact is there's no such thing as a way a bully looks or acts. There is no specific dress code or behavior code. It doesn't matter what the person looks like. You know, there are bullies that you wouldn't ever think were actually bullies. The next myth: online bullying is just banter and harmless. That was myth number 6. So the fact is, people being bullied online, you know, is a very, very serious issue. And actually, it can be quite dangerous because the bullying can go viral very quickly and it can make the problem so much worse at a very high speed as well. So it's important to take a screenshot of any conversations or messages or posts that you feel are bullying, so that you can actually have a record if this is happening to you, or if you actually see it happening to a friend, do the same thing as well. The next myth: cyberbullying doesn't involve physical harm, so what's the harm? Actually, some people have, as we've heard, committed suicide as a result of not seeing any way out of all the harassment they get online, the threats and all the abuse. So, and as we know also, the emotional scarring sometimes actually stays for a lot longer, and there are some people who unfortunately never get over this. Now, some websites, to make it worse, allow people to post anonymously, which makes it actually very hard to stop this kind of abuse. Let's take a look at the next myth. Cyberbullying can only affect someone if they are online and have an account too. You think so, but this isn't true as well. So we often hear of pages and fake accounts being created without a person's permission or knowledge. So this sort of cyberbullying is on the increase, unfortunately, and just as serious as any other form of bullying. Let's take a look at the next myth. It is not bullying if someone deletes this comment or post, right? So regardless actually of maybe thinking that you've deleted something, if you are, you know, a bully, once something is posted online, it does actually get its own unique URL, which means that it can stay on cyberspace even if you hit the delete button, so be very careful. Next myth: if bullying was so bad, why don't they have a law about it? Okay, so the fact is that some forms of bullying are illegal and should be reported to the police, including violence or assault, theft, repeated harassment or intimidation. So, for example, if there are threats and abusive phone calls, emails or text messages and hate crimes. Let's take a look at myth number 11 now. So reporting a bully will make things worse. And I know this is a fear that many people that are being bullied have, and you kind of think it might do, but you know, the thing is, if you don't report someone that is bullying you, then the situation could get worse anyway. So it's best that you get the ball rolling, confiding someone that you trust, and you will get the necessary support to get this bullying stopped. So we have reached the end of today's program, everyone. I do hope that it's been helpful for you. And if you have a story that you would like to share on this program, do get in touch with us via the website, which is chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us at Chrissy B Show or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Until next time, bye-bye for now.
Now this year the South Wales Evening Post reports that in South Talbot there has been a film, the South Wales Evening, another exciting news from, the man said he is actually a more uplifting story from someone called Bonnie Russell, who
Now bullying is a major social issue Now bullying is a major social issue that's not just going away. Thank you very much to Pax. Now let's take, Welcome back everybody to the Chrissy B Show, the program that helps you with your mental, can I start again please? I'm so sorry. So a great initiative by the